Thank you, Mark. I love you too. It is terrific to be here with all of you. I've got a lot of family here. My husband, Bruce. Where are you, babe? Brother David. Brother John. Niece Shelley. We got CJ and Alex. We've got everybody here. Sarah, it's good. Thank you. And Melinda. Melinda's looking good. Thank you, Melinda. So glad you're all here tonight. You know, I spent a lot of hours in this gymnasium. Used to sit right up there. I watched them shoot hoops here, watched them wrestle. We used to do band concerts here. I never thought I'd be down on the floor doing something like this, but you know, you don't get what you don't fight for. So it's good to be here with all of you tonight. I thought we'd do three things. I thought first, tell you a little bit about who I am. Second, tell you a little bit about why I'm in this race. Third, we'll do a few questions, and then the most important part of democracy, selfie. Yeah. So you already know, I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I have three older brothers. One couldn't make it tonight, but I have three older brothers. I am what used to be called a late in life baby. My mother always just called me the surprise. My three brothers, who all live back here in Oklahoma now, all retired, they are collectively to this day referred to as the boys. That distinguishes them from the surprise. When we were growing up, our daddy had a lot of different jobs. He sold fencing, he sold carpet, he sold housewares, he sold paint. And when I was in middle school, the boys were all gone. The boys went off and joined the military. All three of my brothers joined the military. I'm very proud of them. By the way, oldest brother, Don Reed, the one who couldn't make it tonight, he was career military, and he spent about 5.5 years off and on in combat in Vietnam. We were very lucky to get him back home. We were. John was stationed overseas for over a year. David trained as a combat medic. That gave rise to a rule in our family: never choke in front of David. The man is convinced that he could perform an emergency tracheotomy if needed. It makes for some exciting Thanksgivings. Somebody goes, and we all just back out of the room. But I'm very proud of my brothers. I stay close to my brothers. Like I said, when we were growing up, Daddy had a lot of different jobs. But by the time I was in middle school, all three of the boys were gone. And so it was just my mama and my daddy and me. And that's when Daddy had a heart attack. He recovered, but he had a long period of time when he couldn't work. So I still remember the day we lost the family station wagon. I remember how my mother used to tuck me in at night. She'd pull up my blankets and pat them and kiss me on the forehead. And then she'd always give me this big smile and turn and walk out of the room, and I knew what was coming next. I'd hear her, after she closed the door, start to cry. She never wanted to cry in front of me. This is when I learned words like mortgage and foreclosure. And one morning, I walked into my folks' bedroom, and laid out on the bed is the dress. Now, some of you here will know the dress. It's the one that only comes out for weddings, funerals, and graduations. And the dress is laid out on the bed, and down by the end of the bed is my mother in her slip and her stocking feet. And she's pacing, and she's saying, "We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house." She was 50 years old. She had never worked outside the home, and she was terrified. And I'm just standing in the door. I'm just a kid. And she looks up and sees me. And she looks at me, and she looks at that dress, and she looks back at me, and she walks over, picks up the dress, pulls it on, puts on her high heels, and walks to the Sears and gets a full-time minimum wage job answering phones. That minimum wage job saved our house, and more importantly, it saved our family. You want to know who I am? There's the story. And I thought of this for many years as the story my mama taught me. That no matter how scared you are, and no matter how hard it looks, when it comes down to it, you reach down deep, you find what you have to find, you pull it up, and you take care of the people you love. That's what we do. It was years after that that I came to understand. That wasn't just a story my mother taught me, the lesson my mother taught me. It's what millions of people do across this country every single day. No matter how hard it looks, no matter how scared they are, they reach down deep, find what they have to find, and take care of the people they love. We're Americans, that's what we do. Yep. Thing I didn't understand until years and years later. That story about my mother is also a story about government. Because understand this, when my mother walked to the Sears and got a minimum wage job in America would support a family of 3. It would pay a mortgage, cover the utilities, and put food on the table. Today, a minimum wage job in America will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. That is wrong, and that is why I am in this fight. So, like I said, the boys, they went off and joined the military. Their chance to serve, their path to America's middle class. Me, I had a different dream. I have known what I wanted to be since 2nd grade. Ooh, laugh. What, you didn't decide till 4th grade? 5th grade up in the bleachers, I can tell. No, I have known what I wanted to be since 2nd grade, and I've never varied from it. I wanted to be a public school teacher. Can we hear And I want you to know, I invested early. I used to line my dollies up and teach school. I had a reputation for being tough but fair. Now this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. By the time I graduated from high school, my folks couldn't afford a college application, much less to send me off to 4 years at a university. So like a lot of Americans, I don't have a straight path story. My story has a lot of twists and a lot of turns. So here's how my story goes. I was a high school debater. Woo! college to debate. Yeah. And then, at 19, I fell in love, got married, and dropped out. Woohoo! Not to that guy. Yes, Bruce is coming up in season 2. So, here I am, married. We're living outside Houston. And look, you bet. And I'm thinking, good life. I chose this life. Nobody pushed me into this, but I thought I'd given up the dream. Thought I would never have a chance to teach school. And then I found it. 45 minutes away, a commuter college that cost $50 a semester. And for a price I could pay for on a part-time waitressing job, I finished my 4-year diploma. I became a special education teacher. Public school teachers in here? Good. I'm going to need you to back me up on this. It is not a job, it is a calling. I loved this work. I had 4 to 6-year-olds in special ed, and I loved my babies. And I would probably still be doing that work today, but my story has some more twists and turns. So here's how it goes. By the end of the first year, I was visibly pregnant. And the principal did what principals did in those days. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. Oh yeah. Yeah. So there I am. I'm at home. By this time we're living in New Jersey, moving around. So we're living in New Jersey, I'm at home, I got a little baby, can't get a job, I gotta do something. I just gotta do something. So I will go to law school. So I found a public law school, state law school, $450 a semester. I believe in public education, and you see why. Yeah. So, baby on hip, I go off, I do 3 years at law school, graduate, visibly pregnant. You will discover a pattern to these stories. Take the bar, pass the bar, and practice law for 45 minutes. And then go back to my first love, which is teaching. I traded little folks for bigger folks, and I've spent pretty much my whole life teaching in law school. Other big changes in my life at this time, husband number 1, hint, it is never good when you have to number your husbands. Oh yes. He was also a Northwest Classen graduate. Husband number 1 and I parted ways, but then I found Bruce, and he's my friend. So here I am, spending most of my life teaching in law school. And I don't know if it's because of how I grew up and my family, but I was in on the money courses. If it was about money, I was ready. So I taught contract law, commercial law, secure transactions, payment systems, law of debtors and creditors, bankruptcy law, corporate finance, partnership finance, law and economics. If it was about money, count me in. But there was always one central question in my work, and that is, what's happening to working families in America? Why is America's middle class being hollowed out? Why is it that people who work every bit as hard as my mother worked 2 generations ago find the path today so much rockier and so much steeper. And for people of color, even rockier and even steeper. Why? And the answer is the same as the answer was about my mother working at Sears. It's about whose side our federal government is on. Yeah. Think of it this way. We have a government in Washington that works great for giant drug companies, just not for people trying to get a prescription filled. Yeah. Works great for people who want to invest in private prisons and private detention centers down at our borders. But not for the people whose lives are torn apart by those places. Works great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, but not for the rest of us who see climate change bearing down upon us. Government that works great for those with money and is not working so well for everyone else, that is corruption, pure and simple. Corruption, and it is everywhere. The money, it's about campaign contributions, it's about lobbying, it's about PR firms, it's about the bought and paid for experts. Money, money, money in Washington. In fact, let me tell you one quick story. You go back to the early 1990s. We knew the science on climate change. We were calling it global warming, but we knew what it was. The scientists were really clear on this. They said, we've got a real problem out here. You cannot put this much carbon in the air year after year after year without disastrous consequences. So they didn't quite have the timeline down, but they knew this is bad. So here's the thing. In Washington, Democrats and Republicans were working together. Yeah, think about that. Working together. They were trying to figure out, do we need to give more power to the Environmental Protection Agency? Do we need to put more money into cleanup? Do we need new regulations? What do we need to do? And then, along come the Koch brothers. Oh, I see you've heard of the Koch brothers. Yeah, along come the Koch brothers, and the big oil, and the big polluters, and what happens? They get together, in effect, and say, wow, if Congress gets serious about this climate thing, that's going to cut into our profits. That's going to bite into our bottom line. So they have an investment decision to make. They could decide, you know, the handwriting's on the wall, fossil fuels, we're going to clean. They don't do that. They could decide, we're going to spend our R&D money on how to clean carbon out of the air, how to clean it out of the water. They don't do that. No, they make an investment. They invest in politicians in Washington. And one of their number one investments is in the bought and paid for experts. You've heard these guys, the science deniers, the climate deniers, right? You know how they do. They stand up and they say things like, I'm a doctor who... And as a doctor, I just want to say climate's been out there for a long time. The dinosaurs loved it. It was a great time for salad. Whatever, right? You should ask yourself, why would folks like the Koch brothers spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to lift up this kind of stuff? It's not because they don't understand the science. They did it because the bought and paid for experts could build something they wanted. An umbrella that politicians could hide under and keep taking money keep taking money from the oil industry, keep taking money from big polluters, keep taking money, and if somebody asked him about it, say, oh gee, I don't know, it's all controversial, I'm not a scientist. You want to understand the climate crisis we face today? It is 25 years of corruption in Washington that brought us here. Whatever issue gets you up in the morning, whether it's climate or whether it's something else, whatever issue gets you going, the cost of prescription drugs, student loan debt, whatever it is, if there is a decision to be made in Washington, I guarantee it has been influenced by money. It has been shaped by money. It has had loopholes created by money. And the only way we are going to fix this is not to nibble over here or nibble over there. It's going to take big structural change. And big structural change starts with rooting out corruption in Washington. And I got a plan for that. So here's the good news. Here's the good news. I have the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate. Here's the bad news. We need the biggest anti-corruption plan since Watergate. So it's a big plan. It's got a lot of pieces to it. You go to elizabethwarren.com and look at it. But here's the thing. Let me just give you a couple of samples from this plan. Here's part one. End lobbying as we know it. Wall Street and Washington. Okay, I could do these all day long. I'm going to do just one more. You really want to hose out some corruption in Washington? Make everybody who runs for federal office put their tax returns online. The corruption. Let's fight back against corruption. Let's disrupt it. I'm tired of playing defense. I want to go on offense here. Because here's the thing. You start to mix it up, you start to push back, and now we can make real change. And you know where I want to make real change? I want to make some structural change in this economy. So here's the thing. We have a real problem with giant corporations in this country. I'm talking about these corporations that have eaten up the little businesses, eaten up the medium-sized businesses. They've eaten up what used to be big businesses. And the problem with this is not only do they stamp out competition, they've got some darn much power. Power over their workers, power over their customers, power over the communities where they're located, power in Washington. It is time for a president who has the courage to stand up and enforce our antitrust laws and break these guys up. All right, that's part one. We got to break them up, get a little competition going in this economy, but it's not enough all by itself. We need to put more power in the hands of workers, make it easier to join a union, and give unions more power in negotiating. Unions built America's middle class, and unions will rebuild America's more structural change. It is time for a wealth tax in America. So let me lay out my plan for you. The idea is a 2-cent tax on the great fortunes in this country. So just so people can relax, your first 50 million is free and clear. I see the guy at the bleachers. Okay? This woman is not unreasonable. Your first 50 million is free and clear, but on your 50 millionth and first dollar, you gotta pitch in 2 cents. And 2 cents on every dollar after that. You hit $1 billion, put in another penny, right? That's the basic idea behind this. And by the way, anybody in here own a home or grew up in a family that owned a home? Yeah, well, you've been paying a wealth tax. It's just called a property tax, right? And the only difference is, I'm saying for these huge estates, the top 1/10 of 1%, that your tax shouldn't just be your real estate, it should also be your stock portfolio, the diamonds, the Rembrandt, the yacht. All right, so 2 cents. Now, you may have heard there are some billionaires who take exception to this. Did you hear about this? One has gone on TV to cry. So sad, right? So sad. Others are reported to have called their friends and said, will you run for president? We gotta do something here, right? Woo. And their argument is, you know, look, lady, we worked for this. To which I'm gonna say, unlike anybody else, but good for you. You had a great idea. You followed it through. It was the right moment. You built a great fortune here in America. Good for you. But here's the thing. You built that fortune here in America. I guarantee you built it, at least in part, using workers all of us help pay to educate. In part, getting your goods to market on roads and bridges, all of us help pay to build. You built it, at least in part, protected by police and firefighters, all of us help pay the salaries for it. And we're glad to do it. We're Americans. We believe in investing in opportunity. All we're saying is when you make it big, I mean really big, I mean top 1/10 of 1% big, pitch in 2 cents so everybody else gets a chance to make it. Here comes the fun part. What can we do with 2 cents? And the answer, we can provide universal child care for every baby in this country. Plus, universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old. We can stop exploiting the mostly women, mostly black and brown women who do this work. We can raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in America. $0.02 lets us do all of that for our babies, plus, same 2 cents, lets us make an historic $800 billion federal investment in our public schools. Every public school. And by the way, right in the heart of that plan, it wouldn't surprise you, coming from a special ed teacher, would be full funding for IDEA, so every child with a disability gets the full education. So 2 cents lets us do all of that for our babies, plus all of that for K-12, plus it lets us provide tuition-free technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college for anything you want. Plus, it's time to level the playing field. That 2 cents also lets us put $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities. So think about it. That 2-cent wealth tax on the top 0.1% will let us do all of that for our babies, all of that for K-12, all of that for the students who want to get an education after high school, and one more thing. It'll let us cancel student loan debt for 43 years. So think about it. We have a chance to say if the guys at the top will just pitch in 2 cents, we can make an investment in an entire generation. That's the America we could build. Okay, so that's part 2. Part 1, attack the corruption head on. Part 2, get some structural change in this economy. Part 3, we need to protect our democracy. Constitutional amendment to protect the right of every American citizen to vote and to get that vote. We need a federal law to ban political gerrymandering. To roll back every racist voter suppression law. Just one more thing. Overturn Citizens United democracy. So I just want 3 things. Attack the corruption, make some structural change in this economy, and protect our democracy. And I know to a lot of folks, those might sound like 3 unrelated things, but to me, they're deeply related. Because they address the fundamental question in this country going forward. Who's going to get opportunity? Are we going to be in America where opportunity is just for those born into privilege, or are we going to be in America where we invest in every single one of our kids? A great education for all of them. For me, it is all about opportunity, and I get it. Opportunity means different things to different people. You know, I was a special ed teacher. Opportunity may mean a chance to live independently. Opportunity may mean a chance to be able to start your own small business without getting crushed by student loan debt. Opportunity may mean a chance to love the person you love and build the family you want to build. Opportunity, because that's why I'm here today. My daddy, he ended up as a janitor. His baby daughter got the opportunity. The opportunity to be a public school teacher, the opportunity to be a college professor, the opportunity to be a United States Senator, the opportunity to be a candidate for president.